covering the stories that impact your life, your town, your state, and your future. This is the Means Report with your host, Brad Means.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Means Report. We appreciate you spending part of your day with us. And if you've watched the Means Report for any length of time, you know that we always try to have the mayor of Augusta on pretty close to his State of the City address. And we've got a pretty good track record of doing that. But never have we had the mayor on so quickly after the delivery of the State of the City address, because Mayor Garnett Johnson just gave it and he raced over to the studio. So we'll talk to him for the next 22 minutes or so, and then we'll wrap up this edition of the Means Report with ways that you can stay in touch with us and help us get more great guests like Mayor Garnett Johnson. Mayor Johnson, thank you so much for being here. Seriously, you just finished the State of the City address, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Brad, and I'm honored to be here with you today.
So you said that your theme as you addressed the Augusta Exchange Club was where we were, where we are, and where we're going. How about where we are? And if you want to, where we're going. I know we could spend the whole half hour on this. Are you pleased with where Augusta is right now?
Yeah, I definitely am. If you look at where we are post Hurricane Helene, when we look at the devastation that was caused on September 27th and look at the number of lives that have been greatly impacted, I'm proud of where we are. We're a resilient city, and I look at all of my teammates within city government, all of our great community partners, all of our nonprofit partners on helping Augustans rebuild their lives, restore their way of living, and it's truly amazing on the sense of community that has been derived from that effort.
Are we finished? I was driving down the street the other day, and obviously I didn't see any debris piles. Are we 100% back to normal?
Not at all. The debris piles are gone, but as you ride around parts of our town, you still see people that are not in their homes. I have neighbors that are still not in their home. I see work that's been done on their home every single day. We have others that have struggled in that they didn't have proper insurance or they were underinsured. So I am so honored to have the Mennonite Disaster Services and the Christian Disaster Service and our long-term recovery led by our former mayor, helping people recover their lives, getting them out of temporary housing, out of temporary mobile homes or temporary trailers to get back to normalcy.
I have to tell you, Mayor Deke Copenhaver agreed to be on the Means Report for our next show, so y'all please look for that. We're going to talk about the Hurricane Relief Committee, which he's going to change it to Hurricane Relief Team, but you're right, they're doing tireless work to help people heal. What about the canal? I don't think about that a lot, but it got devastated and we're close to reopening it maybe?
Well, we have reopened it for recreation.
For recreation.
But people don't realize the damage that was done to our canal and how we almost lost it. As you know, that canal is responsible for Augusta's drinking water. That storm in the direction that it was traveling, actually we almost lost the dam wall of the canal. We experienced a lot of trees that were down as a result of the strong winds, many trees that were impacting our ability to pump water. So that critical piece of infrastructure that provides drinking water to all of Augusta is so important that we restore it, that we clean up the trees, that we continue to provide the recreation for people to enjoy along that path. Unfortunately, there's not going to be as much shade as there has been in the past, but it's still the most beautiful place in all of Augusta that so many people enjoy. And I will say that it is one of the most visited parks, and it's truly a park in all of the CSRA.
It's beautiful. Mayor, do you think that our efforts getting over Helene have helped us be better prepared for bad weather? We've had some rough weather recently. Do you feel like the city was ready to handle it?
I believe so, in that, finally, with the approval of the Augusta-Richmond County Commission, we now have a full-time EMA director, which is so important. As you know, Chief Antonio Burden did a phenomenal job in the response to Hurricane Helene, but I've always said a city of our size definitely deserves someone who is in that role full time to help make sure that our preparedness is where it needs to be, to make sure that we're staying safe, we're staying prepared, and that it truly benefits the citizens of Augusta, Richmond County. Kimber Keaton and her team have done a great job.
Yeah.
I mentioned during my speech earlier today, for the past 3 weekends, due to inclement weather, she's been on call. So I was saying that hopefully this weekend she and her coordinator will have an opportunity to be off this weekend and enjoy some free time.
I hope so too. Yeah, we record this on a Thursday, and the weekend, knock on wood, looks beautiful. So hopefully everybody will get some rest and relief. You talked about affordable housing a lot in your speech. It was one of the first things we heard from you in a video that led up to your remarks. The Lenox, Dogwood Terrace,
yes.
Most recently the Bon Air and Richmond Summit. Such massive improvements to those properties. Are you pleased with what we're doing to make sure everybody has a roof over their head?
Tremendous mass improvements. As you know, Dogwood Terrace, formerly known as Southside Terrace, is where my mother and her brothers and sisters were raised. So, I have a personal connection there. I remember a lot of the families that for generations that were there, but over time, that housing project, through its age and through some other socioeconomic factors, became a place, in my opinion, that should not house people. So I'm proud of the effort from the Augusta Housing Authority. They're creating mixed income housing out in our south quarter off of Deansbridge Road, which provides what I consider dignity in housing, a better, safer place to raise their families. Excited about the Lenox down in the Golden Blocks.
Oh yeah.
Providing opportunities for those who want to live in the urban core. And then lastly, Redwood Housing, just yesterday, we experienced 2 ribbon cuts, both for the Bon Air, the historic Bon Air, and the Richmond Summit Apartments. And for the first time, I've actually had the opportunity of going into the grand ballroom at the Bon Air and look at the restoration. And I was thinking, can you imagine the memories that were made there? All of the wedding events and parties, and Redwood has done a phenomenal job in restoring that property. I encourage all of Augusta, if you have the opportunity to go see it, and they're providing dignity in housing. As you know, those 2 complexes have been some of our most troublesome in Augusta.
They have, and it brings me to my next question, and I don't know if it's answerable, but why can't the Bon Air be something super fancy once again? Why couldn't a private company come in, purchase it, and make it some grand hotel? Was it, or is it too far removed from that? And can you undo affordable housing once it's established?
That is a great question, because there was a great local group of investors that was interested in doing just that. And I went to the owner of the Bon Air Hotel, had dinner with him. He looked me in my eyes and he said, I will never sell the Bon Air unless it's for the effort of housing the poor and the needy.
Wow.
So unfortunately, we have low income tax credits that's tied to that property now. But my charge to him was to make the living conditions better for those who live there. Now, I understand his passion and his mission, and he was very serious about it. And, he says that his mission, not only in Augusta, but he owns properties throughout the United States. And his goal and his mission is to provide affordable housing for those who definitely need it, and he would never sell it for anything other than that.
Are there other parts of town where we need to build things or renovate things so that people have a better place to live? Can you picture any part of Augusta that's underserved?
Yeah, there's plenty of places. You look at the historic neighborhood over near the Kroc Center, Harrisburg. When you take a look at Olmsted Homes, it's one of the oldest housing projects, I think, in the state of Georgia. I think it's time now, as we look forward, having a conversation with the Housing Authority and with all our great community partners on how we transform that housing project into something that provides dignity in housing, a safe environment for families to grow and for families to thrive.
I know that we're spending a ton of time on housing, but I just think it's exciting because it really is something that transforms parts of town. Do you have high hopes for Sand Hills? It seems like that place is ready to explode with growth and improvements.
I tell everybody Sand Hills is our gem in the rough, in that it doesn't need as much love as some of these other developments. It's starting to transform. As I understand, recently we have a developer that's going to be creating student housing over in that corridor. As you know, the Weed School was purchased, and as I understand, there's a developer that's looking at redeveloping Weed School into a very similar project that we have at the Lenox, and I think it's actually the same developer. So there's a lot of anticipation and a lot of great traction that's happening in the Sand Hills corridor.
Well, we have so much to cover with Mayor Garnett Johnson. As I mentioned, he just delivered the State of the City address. I have, just by looking at my notes, at least 50 more questions. We'll never get to all of them, but we'll tackle the big issues when we come back on the Means Report. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Means Report. Augusta Mayor Garnett Johnson is our special guest today. We're trying to tackle as many topics that impact Augusta, Georgia as we can. Mayor Johnson, the Charter Review Committee is in the news a lot. And I get the sense that nobody is paying a ton of attention to them, but when their decisions come out, we will all pay attention to them. How's that process going to possibly change the document that governs Augusta?
I'm going to repeat. The charter review process is one of the most consequential times in the history of our city since consolidation. It gives us an opportunity to take a cross section of our community to take a look at how we govern, how we provide accountability and transparency to the citizens of Augusta. I would argue that in the 30 years since consolidation, something needs to change. We're finally having that conversation. I'm proud that I've brought that to the forefront. Most importantly, at the end of this process, I believe strongly the voters should decide. Very similar to my yes vote. But it is one of the most important times in our city's history. And I thank them for the work they're doing. I knew it would be emotional and contentious.
Right.
Every single charter review in every country, every city in this country undergoes it. And we're going through it, and we need to go through it to make Augusta a better place for the future.
You know, I always thought our government will change in Augusta when the mayor gets a vote, and the mayor can break a tie and have a vote on his or her own, no matter what. And then you got that. The mayor's office got that. What else is there that might come out of this Charter Review Committee where we say, wow, that's going to change our town?
Total accountability. The mayor, as you recall, I only asked for an equal vote. It still takes 6 to get anything done.
Right.
Our town right now has been run through a committee of 6. We need to have someone's in charge. Right now, no one's in charge. You know, we need to have an administrator, county manager form of government that provides direct accountability to the supervision and the hiring and firing of department heads. I believe now, in being mayor for a little over 3 years, the mayor's role is a lot more busy than to manage the day-to-day operations of our city. But somebody should have that authority. I like the work that the Charter Review Committee is doing. I think it's very beneficial to the citizens, and I hope that this committee will get something on the ballot for the voters to approve, because our city deserves it.
By the way, are you running for re-election?
Yes, sir, I am. I'm more excited than anything about running for re-election.
You know, it's funny, I was talking to George Escalette before the show. He goes, yeah, of course he's running.
Of course.
And we started talking. I haven't seen an official announcement, you know, you standing at a podium saying, I'm running again. And then we debated whether an incumbent has to do that, but I knew you were.
Yeah, you know, fortunately, as mayor, my duties don't stop.
Right.
As mayor, I have the opportunity of always advocating on behalf of the city. As you know, I serve as the 3rd vice president for the Georgia Municipal Association. Duties that require me to advocate on behalf of the city as this mayor at the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Dealing with storms. As you know, in the past 3 weekends, we've been dealing with storms. Yep. So that work requires me to stay busy. But when it's time to campaign, I assure you, I can't wait to tell the great folks of Augusta on the accomplishments that we've been able to get done while being its mayor, and the things that we're going to get done in the future. Well,
qualifying's in March, the election's in May, it's sneaking up on us. You also have been tapped by Governor Kemp to take a statewide leadership role when it comes to bringing more businesses to Georgia and encouraging economic growth. Do you see a time when maybe we get a really huge corporation that says, I'm going to set up shop in Augusta, Georgia, in addition to the ones we already have, but maybe somebody else comes along?
You know, that's one of the initiatives I have, in that, you know, Georgia for the past 12 years has been known for the #1 state in which to do business. Yep. Historically. I've been proud to serve on that board for the past 4 years under the appointment of Governor Brian Kemp. Augusta used to have some great what we call landmark employers, where you think about how Georgia Pacific was founded here in Augusta. Murray Biscuit Company, E-Z-Go, and a lot of people say E-Z-Go is still here, but E-Z-Go is owned by Textron. Morris Communications. We look at our sister cities around the state, Columbus, Muskogee, they have some great corporate leadership, and it's time for Augusta to try to now recruit those. Those efforts aren't that hard. You look around the state where it's been accomplished in other communities. LaGrange, Georgia, recently recruited Remington Arms out of New York to go to LaGrange, Georgia.
Unbelievable.
Why can't we do that in Augusta?
Yeah, they don't have the masters.
They don't have the masters.
They don't have the things we do.
They don't have all those great things. So that's going to be my task for the economic developers here in Augusta, and it's going to be my advocacy at the state to make sure that we're working towards accomplishing that.
Speaking of the Masters, Augusta National playing a key role in the redevelopment of the Patch golf course. I haven't driven by it lately. How's that work coming along?
It is coming along beautifully, and that we're excited that can't wait for the announcement of when it's going to open.
Yeah.
I think the public will love it, and that the partnership not only with the Augusta National but First Tee and the Augusta Technical College and the city. I'm going to call the city a partner because since 1928 that has been a city asset, and now we're just proud to have the partnership with them to take it to what I consider the next level. And I can't wait for them to show the world how they have transformed our Patch to something that everybody will be excited about.
Same here. Yeah, it's going to be so special. What about downtown Augusta? You know, I told everybody we're talking about the big topics, perhaps none bigger than the transformation of especially Broad Street. Did y'all just do something to try to make those workers go faster?
We did. So we provided an incentive of $2 million because the work was scheduled to be done in 2027, which we heard clearly and loudly from our downtown business owners that they were struggling and that the construction schedule and their opinion was not moving along fast enough. We heard their cry for creating more parking. Yet we need to provide more green space. So there was a great compromise on how we provided green space, more parking, yet we were able to move the timeline up to finish in 2026. I see the activity, and finally you're starting to see what Augusta downtown is going to become. You finally see the rising of the new James Brown Arena and how all of these corridors are going to connect in 2027 to make Augusta a more beautiful place. You see the work that's happening at the Ramada. You see the work that's happening in the 800 block of Broad with the new apartment complexes, the new restaurants. And if we can just get through this short-term pain, downtown Augusta is going to be a beautiful destination, not only for Augusta to enjoy, but for our visitors and tourists alike.
What about parking, though? That's so intimidating for somebody who's thinking about going downtown. They think, I'll never find a place to park. Are y'all just going to try to make people turn over those spots more?
I think so. I think once we complete what I consider the construction phase of downtown, I think it's time to then have a conversation about a managed parking plan. And I think it's important. People often say that there's no place to park in downtown Augusta. Compared to other cities, it's fairly easy to park in downtown. I tell everybody, we don't have a parking problem, we have a walking problem. If you just look over a block either to Reynolds or to Green, it gives you plenty of access to Broad Street. But implementing a managed parking program will be essential to the growth of downtown, turning over those parking spaces, perhaps even creating some revenue to maintain the beautification of downtown. So that's what I envision.
All right, so let's talk beautification. We had a vote this past week on the commission to try to establish a vegetation management department. It fell short. This was going to be a department, one department that cut all the grass and picked up all the debris. Do we need that? Do we need to consolidate those landscaping efforts, if you will, under one roof?
We most certainly do, and I'll tell you why. You know, the upkeep of our city is very important. It's important to how we attract economic opportunities to Augusta. It's the way our visitors see us when they come visit our town. Augusta should be beautiful more than just 2 weeks out of the year. Having the accountability of a single department that's focused on not only cutting the grass, maintaining our retention and detention ponds, maintaining the beautification of all these new ornamental plants that are occurring in downtown, in the downtown corridor. You look at Broad, you look at Telfair, you look at Green, there's a lot of new work to be done.
Yeah.
We got to make sure that we're on top of that so that that work does not go in vain in our effort to beautify the city of Augusta.
Mayor, how do we not keep everything mowed? You know, some people will drive past an overgrown area and they may think, why doesn't the city notice this and send a mowing crew out? It's not rocket science. How do things get overgrown and go unnoticed?
I agree with you. It's not rocket science, but unfortunately it happens in the city of Augusta. When you have the grass cutting responsibility split among 4 or 5 different areas, and you include RCCI, somehow the ball has been dropped. It's time, Brad, that we take a look at how we fix this problem. Right now, there's no grass growing in the city of Augusta, as you know.
Right.
The ice storm last week and the snow, but there's still litter that needs to be picked up. There's still leaves that need to be collected. There's still trees that can be pruned. This time of year gives us a perfect opportunity to catch up on the things that we're not able to catch up on during the grass growing season.
Mayor Johnson, are we going to sell some parks? I know there's talk of getting rid of underused parks. Are we going to put them up for sale, the ones that aren't being utilized?
That's been a great conversation that we're having on the Augusta-Richmond County Commission. While I am in support of parks that are not being utilized, but I think we need to take a very deliberate approach as to which parks are defined as underutilized. Some have said that the study that was conducted during the fall months of the year, not during the summer months. And I really understand that some of these parks are historic to historic neighborhoods, so we want to make sure that we do our due diligence. Those that don't fit well within our portfolio, I think they should be sold. I think we need to create a more regional park approach that gives the city the ability to create what I consider marquee parks, like the regional park out at Diamond Lakes, Pendleton King Park. You look at, we have some great ones, May Park, where I spend a lot of time. So take a look at how we can, what I consider, develop a regional park approach. And those that are not being utilized, let's see if we could perhaps sell them.
Let me close with this. I think I have like 45 seconds left or so. You made a big point during your State of the City speech to talk about the Richmond County Sheriff's Office and the Augusta Fire Department. Why did you point those folks out who keep us safe?
Because not only do they keep us safe, they're the first responders when you call 911. They're the guys that are working at nights and weekends out in often dangerous situations. Our Sheriff Eugene Brantley has done a phenomenal job. He has reduced crime across all categories. Our fire department, believe it or not, they're the first responders to see many things that the general public doesn't see. They see the bad things that happen in our community. It's more than just fighting fires. It's attending to lives of people that are struggling. It's giving comfort to loved ones who are going through some tragic situations. And it's a very important job in our community. And I ask that everybody continue to pray for them, to lift them up where they can and while they can, because it's much needed, especially in this time when things seem to be so volatile, that we have first responders that care enough for our community to keep us safe.
Right, and they're great role models, so maybe our young people will want to grow up. Everyone used to want to be a firefighter or a police officer. Maybe that'll come back.
I hope it would.
Well, I appreciate your hard work. It is nonstop, and I really appreciate your time. I know it's valuable. Mayor Garnett Johnson, thank you.
Brad, thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. When we come back, how you can help us get more great guests like Mayor Johnson, a ton of information to digest from this edition of the Means Report, and hopefully you can play a role in our future shows. Stay with us.